Hey, welcome back to the Infest Podcast. This is Brian.
This is Darryl.
This is episode 287. And you know what, Darryl? Hollywood, that's where the stories don't matter.
That's where they go to die, pretty much.
Yeah. I mean, so just a warning. There's no news bites this week. We're going to talk about the Bad Batch episodes 1 and 2. We are going to talk about the exclusion of Doctor Strange from WandaVision. And it's not the fact that he was excluded that's the issue. It's the reason why. And we're going to talk about the god-awful Superman news that came out. So if you guys don't want to listen to us rant, it's okay. You can listen next week. But yeah, and then next week we'll be back with a bunch of Jupiter's Legacy episodes, and we're going to do an Invincible episode at some point. We got a lot of recording to do over the next week.
Yeah.
So, yeah. All right. So
I will say a positive.
Yeah.
So far, Jupiter's Legacy, I'm 2 episodes in. So far, I dig it.
Yeah.
So I'll just leave it at that.
Cool. And I was telling you, I just finished the first season of Warrior on HBO Max. I highly recommend it. Joe had a great idea to do like a lake to the party segment on the show. You put lake.
Better late than never.
Better lake than never. Did you read your tweet? You said lake instead of late.
No.
Yeah.
No. Damn
anyway,
autocorrect.
Damn autocorrect. When I try to write duck, it corrects it to the F word.
Is that because you use that often in your text?
Well, you get a lot of texts from me. I think you would know. But anyway, yeah. One other thing, that one's really good. And then funny story, I have this really nice like mesh office chair in my home office, and yesterday I was leaning back too far and totally fell over and broke the headrest off of it.
Dang.
I was leaning so far back that I just went like completely over. It was hilarious. Like, and the headrest just like it's got kind of a weak point. So anyway, I thought that was funny, and I wanted to share that story because there should be levity in this episode as well.
So right now I'm looking at my Pop dog, with the "This is fine."
Oh yeah, this is fine. Yeah, I kind of feel like that. Like pop culture is on fire, and everything. So, all right, getting on to the Bad Batch. I'm just gonna say, I the first 2 episodes, Aftermath and Cutaway, were really good. Cut and run. Thank you. But I also I don't know. I felt like the first episode didn't need to be an hour.
So that almost felt like it was a 2-parter in the sense of 2 episodes, and they just said, well, let's just call it 1 episode.
Yeah.
I mean, it made sense that they put it together for a premiere.
Mm-hmm.
Did it need to be an hour? Probably some things they could have, snipped off here and there.
Well, like I felt myself wandering. And around the time, by the way, spoilers. By the time they got to Saul Guerrera, I really wasn't paying a whole lot of attention, and on both watches, I kind of wandered at the same time, and I didn't pay attention to Saul Guerrera the second time either. So I don't really know what happened there.
Yeah, you didn't miss much. It was basically Saul Guerrero saying, "Hey, you have a choice." I mean, that's what it came down to.
Okay.
But again, this as someone who hadn't until last night watched the first 4 episodes of season 7 in the Clone Wars.
Oh, that's right.
I
forgot about that.
I didn't have that basis about those guys, which I kept meaning to watch it when I knew it was coming on, and I never did. And I watched the first episode last night, and I kind of fell asleep during the second one just because I was tired.
Yeah.
But yeah, so the first episode kind of gave me, and I'm like, where's this whole Echo guy? But then I remember they were like, he was a reg. But overall, I really enjoyed the camaraderie they had.
Yes.
And just the distinct personalities.
And
again, that's
brotherhood amongst them. The brotherhood.
Yes.
Yeah, brother. I will say they broke some continuity at the beginning of the episode with the Kanan thing, with Caleb Doom and Deepa Balaba. So they did a whole comic about Kanan, and this is what's bothering me about Disney Star Wars, right? Is they keep talking about how everything's canon, like this game is canon, this comic is canon, this book is canon, but then they like throw it out at the weirdest times for none of that stuff to be canon. And in Kanan's, from Caleb to Kanan in that story, how he gets away from the clones is really good, and the reason like he doesn't just like kill like Rex on sight is you learn that one of the clones helped him. Like fought the chip, like fought the order, and was one of the few that like, was able to actually help him out. And yeah, so it was just, I get it, throw the Bad Batch in there, but it was super fan servicey.
Yeah, that's one of those instances of like, did you really? I mean, it's kind of cool, except especially the whole Order 66 thing.
Yeah,
and how the Bad Batch are like, oh, dude, what's going on here? Like we have no idea what's going on.
Yeah, and it was also weird that only Crosshair saw that, right?
So this is my thing with Crosshair, though. He didn't do this because of the order itself. He did it because he said, "Hey, this was our order.
A good soldier follows orders."
Orders, yeah. So he was the guy. He's that guy who is, when something like terrible happens, it says, "Hey, I was only following orders." Yeah. He's that type of character.
So
which will make it very interesting down the road because he's going to be that antagonist. I was looking for not just an antagonist, but the antagonist that was so close to this group, which makes it all the more interesting how they're going to handle.
And to be honest, he's the one that kind of saved all their bacon.
Yeah.
Like he's their Overwatch, right? He's the one who keeps them from keeps Wrecker from just wrecking and dying. So
and that happened in the that first episode of the Clone Wars of season 7, where he was the one that picked him up. In the skiff or whatever.
Well, and like when he in the 4th episode when he threw all those mirrors and then just took one shot and took out all the droids.
Yeah, so
like
that's another good point.
I really liked Crosshair. I still really like Crosshair.
I think he's going to be a fascinating antagonist.
Yeah, absolutely. It'll be interesting to see him like dump the clone armor and see what kind of armor he brings on. Like how stormtroopery will it be? Will he like still stand out?
Yeah, he has to stand. They have to make it so he stands out just at least a little bit. So, but to your point, it's going to be interesting how they have to change their fighting.
Yeah, their tactics, their strategies.
Their tactics. They're used to fighting a certain way, and now they don't. Like you said, they don't have this Overwatch guy.
Yep.
So yeah, I really enjoyed the first episode, especially for someone like me. Like I said, I hadn't seen them before, and I'm kind of doing my back issue homework, if you will, with it.
So I thought Tarkin being added was a little fan servicey as well. Like it just seemed like a cameo fest. But I will say Omega was interesting, but it implies something, right? She's the 5th defective clone. So is Star Wars saying being female is a defect? I thought the Force was female. Apparently not. Apparently being a female clone is defective. Honestly, I what else is out there? I did find it interesting that she was able to get that lucky shot off. And I've seen a lot of people like, oh, it's this Mary Sue moment. And again, it's like, no, she got a shot off. And then the next 3 shots she took all missed.
But I think to that point, there is something about her that there's definitely something about her that she probably doesn't know.
It's either going to be the Force because, Star Wars, or it's going to be she's got some sort of like mental control type of a thing from an implant or something.
Yeah, it kind of reminded me a little bit of River from, Firefly.
Yeah, that's a good call. I didn't even think about that.
Yeah, because there was that episode where I can't remember if it was the episode of the show or the movie Serenity when she was on kind of like on the ramp to the ship, and she did something very similar.
Oh,
Although she
it was the
did
movie
miss.
where she or the show where the guy when they were leaving the station where Mal and Wash had been captured by like the crime lord, and
Yeah, yeah,
Kaylee's like freaking out and she's got the gun and River takes it and she just like without looking just 6 shots and kills them all and then looks at Kaylee and goes,
yeah,
"No power in the verse can stop me." Like
yeah. There it is. Yeah,
that was like a cool that was one of the 4 watchable shows.
one of the 4 watchable shows.
Cuz the other 9 are unwatchable for
Oh, episodes. Yeah.
for Firesuck. Um but yeah, no, I'm interested to see where it goes. I kind of liked we'll get to the second episode in a minute. But again, the other thing is they got away kind of easy. Uh Especially from someone like Crosshair, who is methodical and, like wasn't very emotional about it. I did like the throwback to the training team, the training room when Fives and Jesse and Echo were all trying to become ARC troopers and going through all of that and not doing so hot before they were able to make it happen.
Mm. Yeah, I
I know
did
you
like
didn't watch the
that.
Clone Wars, so
Yeah.
but
Now, I've watched the Clone Wars here and there piecemeal. Like I watched the first 2 seasons, then something here and there, and then the last 4 episodes.
yeah,
So, but and again, that's one of the things I do like about this, even though I don't have the same relationship with Echo or Cody
yeah,
or what have you as as you do or something along those lines. But I think it's going to be interesting to see just kind of where we go here from here. I will say they did have help to get away. They
yeah,
had that Camino in
yep,
was was helping them out, which was which
yeah.
again that's going to come back around too.
So, and I do think the other thing too, like with Crosshair, when they put him through the torture to kind of make him even more obedient, was an interesting touch because, again, these clones from Clone Force 99 are very individualistic, yet
Right.
very loyal to each other, like you saw from the food fight and things like that in the cafeteria. So it's curious, like. I foresee him sacrificing himself at the end of the series to save them so they can
Crosshairs.
so that they can
Crosshair.
Crosshair, so that they can go off and retire into the sunset.
Yeah. So how about that? Like, who would have guessed you to have a food fight in Star Wars property? And love it.
I thought
That
it
was
was
pretty
yeah,
great.
it was great. I mean,
It was great.
it's like, well, it's funny because like the regs are the bullies, and but here's the thing: is these aren't the same clones that we saw in the Clone Wars, and I think it's apropos that the title sequence starts with the Clone Wars, and the Clone Wars logo burns up to show
That yes.
the Bad Batch logo, because these while these are clones, they're now behaviorally modified. Words are hard. I did last week without a single words are hard, man. Damn. Anyway, but so now they have this behavior modification, and it's going to be interesting to see how they react because, again, if you go back to the Clone Wars cartoon, like they had several clones, like Fives was one of them who had the chip malfunction at one point, and they tried to fight it. They really did. So and there's stories throughout lore, Star Wars lore, of clones that have that successfully or to some form of success before succumbing were able to battle the influence of the inhibitor chip.
Yeah. I really like Omega as well. Like there's
yeah.
like she has that naivety to her that is just so out of place with these hardened
Mm-hmm.
Clones.
Yeah.
She's going to be, although it's I say that, but at the same time, and again, she's a kid who hasn't been around anything except that space station where she is, or Camino.
Yeah,
Like,
the planet Camino. So yeah.
Yeah.
So
and
yeah, I mean it's a water planet that it's like you know how like Chicago only has like 3 days of summer because it's always winter there. Like Camino only has like a couple hours of not raining. So
Right.
you know the whole like that goes into that whole whitewashing things people are complaining about, that like the clones were white. It's like I didn't think they were white. I thought they looked like the clones have looked all along. They looked exactly like they did in the Clone Wars. The other thing that I think was a negative was Freddie Prinze Jr. voicing Kid Kanan, sounding like an 80-year-old man who smokes 7 packs of cigarettes a day. And on top of that, the way he's reacted to people giving him criticism.
Yeah. So one, that did kind of take me out of that, because it was a jarring moment where it's just, why does this kid sound like a grown man?
Yeah.
That the fact that he didn't change his voice, or they didn't modulate it in some way to sound younger, was stupid. Because again, if they did that, we wouldn't have this issue with, again, not only the people basically kind of clowning him about that, which whatever.
Well, I told you what why he's reacting like that.
Yeah.
I'm not going to share that on the podcast because it was a very mean thing to say, but I still stand by it in my text to you.
It was kind of funny, though.
It's very funny and it's very mean, and I love it.
So,
no, I mean, like, the fact that he's like punching, like, like calling out people, and he had that rant from a few years ago where he was on some podcast where the dudes were literally licking his boots. I think one of the guys might have been, going for the bunghole there too while they were at it. Where he was like, I talked to George. It's like, I don't think you've ever talked to George Lucas. No offense, but you were just a voice actor on a show that, he was the executive producer of, didn't have a whole lot to do with other than like story and things like that. So
what George said to him probably if he came up to him like, hey, you know me, remember me?
No.
He'd be like, I don't even know who you are.
And his face turns purple. And then he snaps a gauntlet in hand and Freddy just fades away. So, and then George looks back and he goes, anybody else can come back except for this guy. But no, it's just continuing the Lucasfilm employee just nonsense of like, dude, someone said they liked it except for your voice acting. There's no need to like start in. There's also, he's one of the people who celebrated like Gina getting fired and things like that. So yeah, it's kind of weird. I'm kind of hoping that that's the last we see of young Caleb Doom. So
yeah, I hope so as well.
All right, so the second episode. So at the end of the first episode, they talk about they're going to Salukami. Sorry, I don't know how you say it. And my other text chain, they were like, oh, they're going to see Rex. They're going to see Rex. And before I even saw the title, I was like, no, they're going to see Cut. And I have the text receipts. I can share those with anybody who wants to see them. Because it's that kind of a deep cut show. And so, yeah, so Cut was a deserter from the Clone Wars who, they were on this planet when Rex got injured, and Cut and his wife and children like nursed Rex back to health while then Cut helped the clones get away from the droids. And then they left him with his Twi'lek wife and children. It was a really cool story. It was really cool to see the kids grown up in this, because they were just little kids. So you can see the amount of time that's passed, which is pretty cool. But yeah, and it was neat that like he knew the Bad Batch. I think there's a wealth of stories. Like if this goes beyond one season, like we could get some flashbacks to them during the Clone Wars with like Anakin and Rex, and well, no, they met Rex for the first time in Anakin, but like with different Jedi, maybe Jedi we don't get a lot of time with, would be pretty interesting.
Yeah, that'd be pretty cool.
So,
and it's also that Cut's the one that tells them about the inhibitor chips. and they're like, "What are those?"
Yeah.
And I think it was Tech was like, "How do you think the modification happened?"
Yeah.
Through the chips.
Yep.
But yeah, this episode was, there with the first episode there was a lot of action.
Mm-hmm.
And again, that's the thing that really brought me into it, and obviously the personality of the Bad Batch, which were great. I love, like you said, that each just so well thought out individually, and how different they are. And
but then also how they work together.
Yes.
So.
Yeah. And this one was one of those kind of catch your breath moments. Doesn't mean there wasn't action in it.
I felt like this was a world building episode to kind of show like these are legitimately the first days of the Empire, right? And they're introducing chain codes already. Where that was not a thing, like a widely accepted thing before, the chain codes. So, I thought that was kind of cool, and seeing how they were restricting travel and kind of being like super authoritarian. They had the troopers. Mm-hmm. They're still in the clone trooper, look. So at some point we're gonna see that switch over to the storm trooper, the storm versus clone trooper uniform or armor, if you will. I liked Omega in this episode because watching her play with kids for the first time was a really nice touch.
Yeah. Or even before that, when she first gets off the ship and she's like, "What is this?
What is this? That's dirt."
And then she's just like, just like a kid.
Yeah.
Kicking around in it, and and it really goes to show how she's going to be a great character in the sense of she's going to have so many of these firsts.
Yeah, everything is a first for her right now.
Right. And again, I love watching, like when one of the kids threw a ball at her, she moved out of the way. It's like, you're supposed to catch it.
I will say, in her defense, that's every like 2nd through 4th grade girl when they play basketball for the first time.
It's like, what is this?
Like that's like their first like 7 games of their career. Like anytime the ball comes near them, they duck. I'm kidding. That's not all of them. That was just mine. Anyway. So no, that was really cool. And the not just basic understanding of playing catch, and then not understanding danger, I thought was a very interesting way to show, again, one of our favorite things. They showed us why she's a babe in the woods out in, running around space with what will eventually be a mercenary group.
Yeah. And this also really highlighted the special bond she has with Hunter.
Yeah, I wonder. I'm kind of curious if maybe it's going to turn out she's a clone of Hunter, because I think her special ability is going to be similar to his with the enhanced awareness and tracking ability and things like that.
Well, one thing there's some empathic type thing, whether it be psychic or even just, being able to read body language, is when they were imprisoned and she looks at Crosshair and she says, "I know what you're going to do, but please don't." And she said, "It's not your fault."
Yeah.
So
what's if a Camoan, like, trying to put like M count, like boost her M count, like in the Mandalorian? Like, what if they kind of like build that story there, that the Jedi eugenics project from the Empire started with her?
Started there, right?
Like, that could be interesting. Like, what happens if we try and artificially like boost the metachlorian count inside of a living being?
Yeah, that is an absolute possibility, especially considering how that we got that from.
Yeah,
Rise
it ties. Yeah, and it ties into the Mandalorian as
Mandalorian,
well.
Yes.
Exactly. And I don't know. I think it could be interesting. Now, like, am I gonna get butthurt if that happens? No, absolutely not. Am I butthurt that like they have a little girl with them? No, I think it adds something to them, especially because she is socially inept in so many ways that like and as are they.
Yeah.
And so, because he just was going to dump her. Hunter was just going to dump her with Cut and his family because he thought that was the best thing for her, right? But she didn't find that out until she was like, well, wait, why is there a 5th chain code? And Cut was like, oh, that's for you. I will say the sweetest scene was when they saved her from the little cat dog saber-tooth tail creature,
whatever thing. That four-eyed beast.
from Attack of the Clones. The way Cut like helped her and hugged her and told her everything was going to be okay. Like that was a huge learning moment for the clones that was lost on 3/4 of them.
Yes. Yeah.
If and not, I mean, it's not like they aren't going to care about her and things like that, but like Hunter is going to be the dad figure.
Absolutely,
Uncle Wrecker, Uncle Uncle Echo and Uncle Tick. Did you notice that? She called him Tick, like, because of the New Zealand accent. Tick. It's just like, because it's tech, like even D. Bradley Baker when he's talking to himself, he calls him Tech. It's still New Zealandy, but like Teak, when she says it, it's just really funny. I will say, D. Bradley Baker is a pretty prolific voice actor. He's done such voices as Appa from Avatar: The Last Airbender. Did you know that? He's great like at the animal sounds. It's really cool. But like I love him in this. And it's like literally his credit is all of the clone troopers in the series, including the members of Clone Force 99 / the Bad Batch.
That is that is so fascinating. I would love to see a recording session. Just drop in on a recording session and just watch him go to work with this stuff.
I can't like, honestly, what I'd rather watch is the ADR session where he has to do all the grunts and growls and like, exasperated sounds and things like that, like running through the woods. Can you hit like, like, because they all have to sound different. And like now with Wrecker with his voice and like, now it's like, ugh.
And Wrecker is such a fun time. He's just like, that was great how you said Uncle Wrecker, because he's that fun drunk uncle, although he's not drunk in a way.
Well, he's drunk on life, so
yeah.
But so the first episode was written by Dave Filoni and Jennifer Corbett, and it had 3 directors. So, and I think that's just because of the length of it. They probably split it up because it was 3 pretty different arcs that happened. So Steward Lee, Saul Ruiz, and Nathaniel Villanueva. And then the second episode was written by Jennifer Corbett again, and Brad Rao was the director. So, I liked both episodes. I'm excited for next Friday. I did mention to you, like, do we want to cover this every week? And I think, I'm glad you said yes.
Yeah, it's.
So. I'm also glad you went back and watched the 4 episodes.
Yeah. And I don't know. I think I'm kind of glad for the that I got introduced, just because I didn't watch them in this one. Although it does take away a little bit about Echo and that what he went through and all that.
Yeah.
But still, I don't know. It was this was a great episode. 1 was a great introduction for us, plebes who didn't watch them.
Yeah. So
first 4 episodes.
This is Clone Force 9. This is Clone Force 99. There are many clones like us, but these clones are ours. So if you want to go Full Metal Jacket on it, but anyway, okay. So just the first 2 episodes, we'll just lump them both together. Let's say out of 5, washed up actors doing a character's voice.
I'd give it a 3.5. It's solid. It's a great start for me. I'm really excited to see where they decide to go. It's going to be very, you're being drawn in a lot by having a Crosshair as probably going to be our primary antagonist. So I think there's room for improvement, but this is a very good start.
Yeah, I'm going to go with a 3.25. I was going to go with the 3.75, but I'm knocking off a half a point because I zoned out both times I watched the first episode.
Okay.
Which I think is
fair.
So,
yeah, that's fair.
Like I got right back into it as the minute they got back to Camino, but the whole like insurgent thing, like I don't know, it's just kind of been done to death. And the fact that they thought it was going to be droids, like that's where I was like, why are you surprised it's people? That's where I literally I checked out for a while.
I mean, yeah, dude, Soylent Green is people.
It's people.
That's a deep cut for a lot of people. People are going to be like, "What the hell is he talking about?"
Yup. All right, so let's move on to our next story, which is so the title for this section is "No More Mutants," which is swiped out, struck out, and it says the white male heroes. So apparently with WandaVision, the commercials were supposed to be Doctor Strange trying to talk to her magically. And so now it makes sense why they dropped those pretty quick. You know, it was only like the first, I mean, pretty quick for an 9 episode series. Like they weren't in every episode, you know?
Right.
And so I think when they knew they were going to cut him out, that was one thing. But I grabbed so you can go to the show notes, go to infamospodcast.com. I have links to 3 different stories. One is from the New York Post that was the Doctor Strange cut from WandaVision for being a white guy. I specifically chose like a non-nerd news source for this. The second one is called "Marvel Made a Big Mistake from Cutting Doctor Strange from WandaVision," and it's from Inverse. And I specifically chose this one because I don't typically like the way Inverse covers things, and I think they stretch a few things here by saying Marvel made a mistake. And then the last one is Kevin Feige confirms Doctor Strange, which was originally supposed to appear in WandaVision, and explains why he didn't. And I thought this was the best coverage of that explanation. I mean, that's news for Darryl too. But I will say, knowing this does not take away from my enjoyment of WandaVision.
No, absolutely not.
I thought WandaVision was significantly better than Falcon and the Winter Soldier. You can fight me on that one all you want. If you want, you can come to my house and set up a change my mind table, Steven Crowder style, and we can discuss it. And see if you can change my mind. I don't think you will, but yeah. So I mean, we talked about WandaVision for 8 straight weeks, and we did these commentary episodes that are on our Patreon, which I'm actually probably going to release them all here in the next week or two for everybody if they want to listen to them. I'll probably put them up on YouTube. So there's that. It's this weird thing that Kevin Feige is doing all of a sudden, right? All of a sudden, the things that matter to him are what is between the legs of an actor, what color is their skin.
Yes,
and the MCU hasn't been like honestly, I feel like the whole little A-Force thing in Endgame was the beginning of the end for good storytelling in Marvel, because it's not about characters necessarily anymore. Because I'm sorry, but like, while I don't know if it would have taken away from WandaVision, it definitely would have added to the ending, because the ending was a little weird and a little weak, and we talked about that. We've talked about that a few times actually, and I think he could have helped. Because, for all these people who are like, and like my wife is like this, she's like, well, Wanda wasn't the bad guy. It's like, Wanda was the bad guy.
Well, Wanda was absolutely the bad guy.
Wanda could have stopped this at any moment because she knew what was happening the whole time. Like, we don't know
Yeah.
that until the end of the series. But, like,
Right.
and the fact that she ends the series with the Darkholm and she's got the astral projection version of her as, like, you know, the cover in her very monochrome 1984 jumpsuit. Um, you know, so the party doesn't report on her. You know, definitely says something. But I think having Doctor Strange show up there, maybe at the end to kind of help her undo it, because chaos magic is such a powerful thing. And you hear, like, when Agatha is talking about it, she's like, when she's reading from the Darkholm and telling her who the Scarlet Witch is, you know, she mentions that, like, the Scarlet Witch is even more powerful than the Sorcerer Supreme. And it kind of would have been cool to see Doctor Strange try to help her and get kind of knocked down a rung, because he's without the Eye of Agamotto. And it sets up, and this is where they've done such a good job previously to setting up what's next. And what's next is her in a cabin like the Hulk when they found him in the yurt at the beginning of Avengers.
Yeah. So you said this did not change your opinion of WandaVision and your enjoyment, and I 100% agree. This does nothing to change how fascinating, how fun, how imaginative that series was, how amazing Elizabeth Olsen and Paul Bettany were in the show, and you know,
and Catherine Hahn.
And Catherine Hahn as well. That doesn't take anything away from it. What it does do is makes me even more wary of where we're going in the MCU now.
Yep.
Because part of what he says is fine. Because I'm going to read it now. He says, and I quote, it would have been so cool to see Doctor Strange, but it would have taken away from Wanda, which is what we didn't do. If he would have ended it right there, regardless of if you disagree or agree with that statement, you would be like, okay, I get, I agree with it, and I'm glad they didn't put him in there for that reason. Or I disagree with what he said. I think they could have still focused it on Wanda and had Doctor Strange in there. If he would have stopped there, there wouldn't be any issue for me. However, he goes on. We didn't want to end the end of the show to be commoditized to go to the next movie, which, dude, you have done that for every MCU movie, and that's why the MCU works.
Right.
So one, it says you want to go away from the formula that's worked for 10 years.
Right.
That's what that looks like.
Yep.
And then he goes on to say, here's the white guy. Let me show you how power works. That right there is where and to your point, when you said the A4 scene is the beginning of the end, that is where the MCU is headed. It seems to be. I won't say absolutely, but definitely based on some of what we've seen, some of what we've read, and some of what they've confirmed, that's where it looks like it's going to be going.
So here's the thing. I don't think he watched Doctor Strange, because who spent the whole movie teaching the white guy how to use his powers? A white woman, a black dude, and an Asian dude.
Yeah. So,
and yeah, so I think I will say, like, I am softening to the idea that maybe these people need to be comic book people who are writing and making these movies.
I would also heavily emphasize, when you say comic book people, I mean true comic book people.
Yeah, like
not
actual
people,
like comic book writers, not the activists necessarily that they have doing it at the moment.
Masquerade as writers.
Yeah. But yeah, again, like this, what that comment says to me is, he didn't understand the story, because he's not gonna come in and show her how chaos magic works.
Yeah, because and again, like you said, this would also be a learning lesson for Doctor Strange.
Yeah.
Think of what Doctor Strange had to go through that, like learning how to focus himself. Learning how, to be patient. And Wanda's never had that type of training from someone who has a similar type of a power, because she's never come across anyone with a similar type of power until Agatha.
Right.
So
And
What's the problem?
it took her a little bit of time to figure that out, right?
Yeah, right.
But so like just reading all of this made me think of Batman Beyond, Return of the Joker. That movie. I don't know if you've watched it, but there's a scene near the end where the Batman and the Joker, Batman Beyond and Joker are fighting, and Terry says a line about being Batman, and the Joker says to him, you're not Batman, you're nothing but a rank amateur, a costumed clown taking orders, or a costumed errand boy taking orders from a senile old fool. And it's like, that's true. But at the same time, like, Terry very much is Batman. And when they go to fight, again, Joker says, you're out of your league, McGinnis. I know every move the original Batman and Robin knew at their prime. And then Terry knees him in the nuts. And he says, the real Batman would never fight dirty. And Terry says, see, you don't know a thing about me. We needed that kind of moment for Wanda, to be 100% honest.
Yes.
And again, not changing any of the enjoyment. I think that would have added to it. I think it would have made me feel more sympathetic to her rather than looking at her as a villain. I thought one of the issues with the show was the likability factor or unlikability factor of Monica Rambeau is an issue. And the fact that when you go back and you really think about the show, Wanda was the bad guy, and they're trying to pretend like she wasn't.
And even I will say that I haven't read a lot of what people have said from the show, but I did see where Elizabeth Olsen said, about the consequence. She didn't face any consequences, and Olsen even said that she got out. And again, I don't know if this is her take on it. I don't know if this was the take the writers did when she leaves town.
Mm-hmm.
But Elizabeth Olsen, I believe, she said something along the lines of she left town before people that could hold her accountable could get there.
Right.
Which that only emphasizes the fact that she knows that she did wrong. Yep. She knows that she was the bad guy because, again, regardless of the trauma that she went through, and it's a ton of trauma. Don't get me wrong. It does not absolve her of the torture that she put those thousands of people through.
Right.
For several weeks.
Yeah.
So anyone that says she's not the bad guy, step away from liking her,
mm-hmm.
because again, Elizabeth Olsen was fantastic in that show. She was absolutely fantastic.
Like, she was so good that they should be heaping the reins of the Marvel universe on her very talented shoulders.
Yes, I never thought about that until I saw her in this show, and I think we talked about it during one of the reviews.
Yep. I've mentioned it ad nauseum. I mean, since this started.
It was one of those things where, because again, we've never gotten her front and center, so she showed at least us in this series that she could absolutely bear the weight of being front and center in the MCU, and
here's the other thing for a company that has spent so much time being forward thinking and strategic about everything they do. They've already announced Wanda's in the Multiverse of Madness, right? Why not make that where Doctor Strange knows he has to step up his game to fix whatever is wrong as the Sorcerer Supreme of Earth? Mm-hmm. I mean, I think You're that right there goes a long way of saying, like, okay, this is what Doctor Strange has to learn and understand in order to go toe to toe with someone who actually has a little bit more power than him organically.
Yeah, and again, it's not like he's been doing this for 10 years or anything.
He's a little bit of a Mary Sue himself. So, but in the MCU,
yeah.
But
that's why I was kind of hoping they would have backtracked Doctor Strange and made him like all that happen a few years before they did. Just from a standpoint of him being able to learn and being in Camartage for like 3 years learning his craft.
I kind of want to go back and watch Doctor Strange tonight after we're done.
Yeah, I really like Doctor Strange because it's another one of those different type movies.
It was like Ant-Man, like it was self-contained. It was like the original Iron Man. Like anything that's like the original Iron Man, I really like.
Mm-hmm.
You know.
Like Ant-Man?
like Ant-Man, like Homecoming. Homecoming has a little bit of the larger MCU, but it's largely Spider-Man.
Oh, all right, Eric.
I was waiting for you to say that. But yeah, I here's the thing is I think those comments are disingenuous about like, oh, it shouldn't have been the white man to come in to save the day. I think that at the end of the day, it's a virtue signal.
100% a virtue
and
signal.
I also think at the end of the day, it's Kevin Feige may have reached his limit of creativity and may need to, in a Michael Scott fashion, walk out in the parking lot and declare bankruptcy.
and again, this guy has been, neck deep in all of this for the last, where we say, it started in 2008, but it even started a little bit before
that. I mean, he was like, he did stuff with DC, like, he did stuff with the original X-Men movies. He was involved with Blade and, tangentially, So I mean, he's been in this, like, everybody thought Avi Arad was going to be like the guy for Marvel because, you had X-Men, you had Blade, you had the Fantastic Four movies all under his banner. And then this essentially kid just showed up out of nowhere and took the world by its tail and said, this is my MCU world now. You're all just living in it. And, I hate to see the way his decision making has been going lately.
It's almost like when you see a fighter and you're like, dude, you just need to retire.
It was like, what's his name? Yeah. Tito Ortiz, who taps out from punches, by the way, fought like 4 fights too many. Chuck Liddell fought 2 fights too many. Randy Couture fought 2 fights too many. And I think I have no interest in the Eternals. I have no interest in seeing Shang-Chi on the big screen. I will watch it when it's on Disney Plus because I do like a good martial arts film, but I don't have to go see those in the movie theater. I don't think they really necessarily even lend themselves to the big screen, just in my opinion, because I feel like that style of fighting is just more intimate. And anyway, that's just me. I've lost all desire to see Black Widow, which I know hurts your soul to hear me say that. But yeah, it's just, I'm here's the thing is I'm not burnt out on superhero stuff either. Like I'm excited for Jupiter's Legacy as much as I disliked Invincible. Like I have hope they can turn it around. Maybe Seth Rogen needs to not be a part of it to turn it around. But I'm all in on Star Wars still. But yeah, so
the one thing I am never burned out on is good content. I don't care what it is. Think about how many dramas or comedies or action movies come out every year.
Oh yeah.
And then you're saying, oh, we're burnt out. Like people say that like superhero burnout. No, it's about creativity, originality, and putting passion in that. And again, going back to the title of this episode, making the story itself matter.
Yeah. Not
a bunch of damn check boxes.
Well,
that's all we want.
My tongue-in-cheek subhead to this week's episode, you would think the content of the character would be more important. And it's really not. To Kevin Feige right now, it's about the amount of melanin in their skin and which shade of melanin that is and what may or may not be growing between their legs.
Yeah,
and that's an issue because they never did that before, and this is a segue for we're
the perfect segue.
Yeah, I'm gonna hold on. Let me. Okay, so this is the perfect segue for what's happening with Superman. So there are 2 Grant Morrison created multiverse versions of Superman, Val Zod and Calvin Ellis, who are both very interesting characters. And rather than do that, you have hack-ass Ta-Nehisi Coates showing up saying, oh no, it's going to be Clark Kent. And here's the thing. Ta-Nehisi Coates is doing this to further racial division in our country. Ta-Nehisi Coates is a 100% racist, and Ta-Nehisi Coates needs to just stay completely away from fiction, because his nonfiction books, his work at the Atlantic writing op-eds are what he can do as a screenwriter, as a comic book writer, as a storyteller from a fictional point of view. He's garbage.
Yeah, and that's by someone. And again, I know he wrote Captain America. That's the one thing I never read. You read that? I read some of his Black Panther. Awful.
Yeah.
So
I mean, he doubled down on the Wakandan ethno-state with Black Panther so hard, and again, showed a huge misunderstanding of who T'Challa was, that it was just like ridiculous. And all these people give him a pass because he's black and he was writing Black Panther. Well, you know who was black and wrote about Black Panther and was amazing at it? Christopher Priest. You know, I mean, Priest's run on Black Panther is something every fan of superheroes should have on their shelf. So, but you know, and again, they're going with okay, so it's gonna be a black Superman. It's going to be Clark Kent. It's going to be a black director. They don't know who yet, but you know, it's like, okay, well, you've just gone and you've turned this into, you know, something that it shouldn't be. And in this article, they talk about the fact that it's not Black Panther 2. It's now Black Panther Wakanda Forever, because there's no Black Panther anymore, because they're not going to recast the role. You know, they're talking about with Blade, which I think got pushed back again.
July 2022 is that's when they're gonna start production.
Yeah. So I mean, Blade's not out until 2023, and you know, again, they're talking about like having a black director for that. When that seems to not have mattered for the previous 3 Blade films. You had a white dude, a Mexican dude, and David Goyer. So, and I mean, I'm going to say this. David Goyer should not be allowed to write anything other than signing like the bill at a restaurant ever again. And even that, he should probably let someone else do for him.
Just put an X there.
Yeah. So here's the thing, though, is in this article from the Hollywood Reporter, it says here, while the next Superman will likely land with a named director, the star could be relatively unknown, as was the case with Brandon Routh suited up for Bryan Singer's 2006 Superman Returns, and Henry Cavill donned the cape in Zack Snyder's 2013 Man of Steel. Neither Superman Returns nor Man of Steel lived up to outsized expectations, with the former earning $391 million worldwide and the latter taking in $668 million. By contrast, James Wan's Aquaman nabbed $1.5 billion in 2018, and Todd Phillips' Joker scored $1.07 billion and multiple Oscars. All right, so here's the problem with this argument. Superman Returns was the first Superman movie that had come out in like 10, 15 years, whatever it was. The big problem with it is they stuck to the Richard Donner mythology instead of changing what they were going to do. The Man of Steel had very mixed reviews, right? And part of the problem with the Man of Steel is just Zack Snyder's style of filmmaking in the dark and not having it be bright. And, you know, I mean, you see the difference between a bright Superman in the Snyder Cut and what you have in the Man of Steel. Aquaman had the benefit of being in the Justice League movie and being in the Justice League movie and being what was universally considered a bright spot
in that dark piece of
in that gigantic Triceratops turd that Ellie had to dig her hands into. And the Joker was a subversive movie that they got a bunch of people to go see because they made it violent, they made it perverse, and it had a campaign of, if you don't like this movie, there's something wrong with you, where I think it's the inverse there. And it won multiple Oscars because the Joker character name is still living off the death of Heath Ledger.
Yes. So, again.
That was angry. That was really angry.
That was very angry.
I didn't yell.
Yeah. That's actually the more, like, when you don't yell and you can still feel the anger, that's actually more, that's more attention getting for me.
So here's the thing. Like, the Wonder Woman, right? Wonder Woman did well because Wonder Woman was the bright, shining spot in the dog turd that was Batman versus Superman.
Batman v Superman.
Sorry. Crapman versus Crapman v Crapman, crap of crap. And her initial movie did really well. And it was a good movie until the last third. Nothing to do with it was due to studio interference, right? Maybe. I don't know. Wonder Woman 84, that's a whole nother story. Let's not go there. But Aquaman 2 is going to come out. Aquaman 2 is I don't think any movie's making $1 billion for at least the next 15 years.
I don't know about that long, but it's going to be a while. And it's going to be several years. Let's just put it that way. Because again, theaters shutting down.
Mm-hmm.
Then you have people that don't want to go to theaters or scared to go to theaters. And I think the biggest thing, you're having this bubble or whatever you want to call it of lacking creativity and just honestly not understanding what people want.
Right.
I mean, we can focus just on WB with this and DC in the DCEU in the sense that regardless of what, we know what, like, I know what you thought, you didn't, you weren't a huge fan of the Snyder Cut like I was.
No.
That's fine. It's like, as much as I loved it, it still had issues. However, and this is a big thing, many people liked it, or I bet you some people loved it more than I did.
Mm-hmm.
Again, this was based on the fans of Zack Snyder and fans and opponents of the Justice League with travesty wanting the original creative vision
mm-hmm.
of a director.
Yeah.
And it's that campaign that got that made. And then when it becomes a success, what does DC do? What does WB do? They say, oh, you know what? We don't, this
no
is
mas.
We're done with
no
it.
mas. Yeah. But here's the thing is it's not it, because Aquaman is still in that universe. Shazam is still in that universe. And by, the transitive theory of story continuity, Black Adam will be in that universe. Wonder Woman is still in that universe. And Flash is still in that universe.
Yeah. But with the Superman should be that, and it's funny you didn't mention Batman because we still don't know what's going on with Batman. We know the Batman, which is like an Elseworlds, like Joker is.
Yeah.
But we know Michael Keaton's going to be in. I think it was confirmed he's going to.
Yeah,
be
it was like there was a whole bunch of back and forth. Like he wasn't in it, he was in it, he wasn't in it. Now he says he's in it. So, I mean, it's even more convoluted than Andrew Garfield in Spider-Man 3, or No Way Home. But yeah.
So, and going back to, I understand this is. Because I think Coates has until mid-December to turn in the script, so things can change.
Yeah.
I really hope to goodness things do change.
He's so tone deaf. He's not going to listen to any of this. And like your pre-predecessor in the co-hosting seat here, Brian, he loves Superman more than I do. And he's a Ta-Nehisi Coates guy. He got me to read one of his books, and he was the one who was really pushing Black Panther, and he was not crazy about the Black Panther run. He is not at all about a black Superman. He's like, no, this, to quote him, nah, bro. But so I think here's the issue is, again, back to the Hollywood Reporter, right? And I'll let you get to your point in a second. The Superman film appears to be moving onto its own track, but won't be a part of that universe as of now. Sources tell The Hollywood Reporter that Coates is crafting Kal-El in the vein of the original Superman comic and will have the protagonist hail from Krypton, come to Earth. While the story is currently being crafted and many details could change, one option under consideration is for the film to be a 20th century period piece. Makes zero sense, right? Diversity and representation remain key drivers for the DC universe moving forward. Warner's is developing a Latino Blue Beetle. That's fine. Jaime Reyes is the current Blue Beetle, with Angel Manuel Soto attached to direct. HBO Max is casting for a gay Green Lantern. Again, they made Alan Scott gay in the comics, whatever. For an upcoming series, and the CW Arrowverse is about to get its second female superhero, or second black female superhero, with Ava DuVernay's Naomi. Batwoman also features Javisa Leslie, and Black Lightning is about to wrap its final season. Here's the issue with that. This is all about color. What this didn't also mention is that with the new Constantine series that they're going to be doing, they're not going to go with like Matt Ryan or like another English actor. They're going to go with a POC, as they put it. And it's like, okay, so we were talking before all of this. Scarlett Johansson caught a tremendous amount of flack to play a character who was a trans man. And, you know, she got all sorts of hate from white liberal housewives about that. And here's the thing is she could have played that person as a woman, as a man, you know, going back and forth with however that story needs to happen with backstory. It's the same person. But no, that wasn't good enough.
You know, what pisses me off about this is that these people that are up in arms about stuff like ScarJo, or that are applauding, you know, Ta-Nehisi Coates and Jar Jar Abrams, they are the same people that won't even go see these fucking movies.
No, they don't buy the comics. They don't engage in the culture. You know, and if they do, they're like a cosplayer, right? And you know, I said that with a little venom. Let me rephrase that. Because like they're a cosplayer who want to give homage to characters that they like. But you know, that's great. Love whoever you want to watch. Not gatekeeping in any way. But you don't love that character for any other reason than because they're the character that they are now. And in some of these, some other shows and other people, what we need to start doing is we need to start getting organized. We need to start letter writing campaigns and boycott campaigns and telling these studios, this is not okay. This is not something that we're interested in. We want to see new stories with these characters, but these are characters that have lasted a generation. Actually multiple generations, because you know Marvel is in its 80th year. DC predates that. You know, Superman, Batman, Wonder Woman, Robin, all are 80 plus years old. So by taking and changing these characters that are fundamental, and Superman, the Superman symbol is the most recognizable symbol on the planet.
Yes.
More people know who that is than most of the flags in the world.
Absolutely, 100%.
And there's nothing wrong with that. Superman is an aspirational character that we all need to live up to, that we all should strive to be like. Truth, justice, the American way. Mm-hmm. It's not truth, justice, and let's pander to the lowest common denominator of people who aren't actually interested in supporting any of this. They just want to ruin it for everybody else because something is wrong in their lives, and they're angry and they want to lash out like the tiny children that they are.
Yeah. One of the best things, and again, Man of Steel had its issues, and what you just said about Superman and what he represents. I love what they get right with that is when Russell Crowe tells him, "You will provide the people of Earth with an ideal to strive towards. Mm-hmm. They will race behind you. They will stumble. They will fall. But in time, they will join you in the sun, Cal.
Yeah.
In time, you will help them accomplish wonders."
Yep.
Like just saying that, like reading that gives me goosebumps.
Yeah,
that's one of those scenes.
Goosebumps.
That is the that is Superman. That is who he should be. And again, I love Man of Steel. There was too much darkness. I understood what Zach was going with it, but there was too much darkness for the character.
Yep.
Superman, like you said, is aspirational. It doesn't matter who you are. It doesn't matter your color of your skin. It doesn't matter your gender. It doesn't matter your religion or your race. What matters is that he is a symbol to aspire to become the best version of yourself.
Right.
It does not matter the color of his skin. Well, these people right here, Jar Jar Abrams, Ta-Nehisi Coates, and all, they're making it about, hey, and again, in that, because in the article they said, it said something along the lines of it becoming of as far as the movie itself. Let me see if of making a real statement or something like that, because he's black. That's the only way you can make a statement, because of the color of his skin. How myopic and ignorant a statement is that, when you're dealing with a character who is all about hope. And again, the symbol on his chest. That's another great thing I liked from Man of Steel. It's like, no, it's not an S.
It's not an S.
It means hope. And when you narrow down something meaning something only because, hey, this person is this color, or this person is this gender, then you fundamentally lost what that character represents. And Jar Jar Abrams and Ta-Nehisi Coates know fuck all about what Superman means.
Dude, they know fuck all about how to tell a story.
Yeah. And
JJ's best days are long behind him as well.
Yeah, and again, how long have you known me? Even when I don't like something, I do not want it. I don't actively say, I hope this fails.
Yeah.
This is one of those, if they stick with this line, and again, if they go with Val Zod, if they go with Calvin Ellis, okay, whatever, that's fine by me. But if they try to call this guy Clark Kent, dude, not only do I hope this bomb, I know for a fact this movie will bomb. And it will lose millions of dollars, and it will be deservedly so, because they don't give a fuck about story. All they care about is checking off boxes. All they care about is color of skin. All they care about is the virtue signaling of diversity and inclusion. They don't give a damn about the character. They don't give a damn about what he represents. They want to change what he represents to what they feel he should represent.
Right. No, not one single argument from that on my behalf. Yeah, so here's the thing, is like these stupid publications, websites are running with this. Freaking Collider, who should play Superman in the next movie? 11 actors that could be the new Man of Steel. DC's Black Superman will reportedly stick to the comic origins. That's from Screen Rant, who, we've talked about that.
Ryan George is the best and only good thing about Screen.
Yeah, and it's just because like his 4-minute pitch meeting videos.
Yes.
All right, so here's the thing, is who should play Superman? 11 actors who could be the new Man of Steel. This is from Collider. And they start with Michael B. Jordan. Michael B. Jordan understands, like he said to Oprah, I am not going to play Superman if it's Clark Kent.
Yeah.
He said if it's Calvin Ellis or Val Zod, I would be down for it, but I don't think Clark Kent should be a black guy. Now, he's about to make his directorial debut with Creed 3. So, that's going to put him on the shelf from anything else. Okay, so they've got Jonathan Majors here.
Who's playing Kang, the Conqueror.
Right. Oh, is he?
Yeah.
Oh, cool.
Quantumania.
Okay. So Lovecraft Country is what he's in, and I didn't like Lovecraft Country.
I stopped watching halfway through.
Yeah.
But I actually really liked him.
Yeah, I liked him too. But I didn't like the story.
Like the story, it kind of got boring for me, and it wasn't what I wanted.
So then they have Kelvin Harrison Jr., who's like an indie guy. He was in It Comes at Night and Waves. But this is the thing. Collider says he's shown himself capable of mastering complex characters that give given that Ta-Nehisi Coates is writing the new Superman movie, complexity may very well be what is called for with this take on the character. Ta-Nehisi Coates cannot write anything complicated. It's going to be base.
It's going to beat you over the head.
It's going to be racist, and it's going to be, like you said, beating you over the head. So, if this Kelvin Harris dude, like, if you are a complex actor who is great at tackling these roles, steer clear, dude.
He does put me a little bit in mind of Val Zod, like when I was looking at the pictures.
But I mean,
of
here's
Val
the thing, like, Val Zod, great. Like, like looking at a lot of these, like most of these guys, they could play any of the other ones, but none of them are Clark Kent. The dude from Bridgerton, who is kind of like, what's his name? Reggie Jean Paul, Reggie Jean Page. Anyway, like no, thank you. Like, he already left that show. Like, it's like he had one season and took off. He was talking about he was up for some role, and I forget what it was now, but it was like, no, you weren't. Stop. They've got Jovan Adepo, who was in Watchmen. He was Hooded Justice in Watchmen. Mm-hmm. He's great. He was awesome in that role, but like, again, like Val Zod, perfect for Val Zod. Daniel, how do you say his last name?
Kaluuya.
Is it Kaluuya? Yeah.
Or Kalua. I've heard both. Like,
anyway,
but I think it's Kalua.
I'm just gonna go hard pass on him. I'm not a fan. I didn't like him in Get Out. I didn't like him in Black Panther. I just the things I've seen him in, I'm not a huge fan. So I definitely would not be interested in seeing him as Superman in any incarnation. Eli Gorey, who was Cassius Clay in Regina King's One Night in Miami. Haven't seen it yet, but okay. He's a big dude, I guess. Oh, he was on Ballers. That's what I know him from. Okay.
Yeah, he was the high school quarterback.
Yeah, pass. John Boyega, dude. John Boyega is not going anywhere near Warner Brothers. If he thought Disney treated a black dude bad,
he's like,
yeah. William Jackson Harper from The Good Place. Nope, sorry, dude. You don't even. There's nothing about him that screams Superman or Clark Kent, for that matter.
Well, except he's like ripped out of his mind.
Yeah, okay. But he's going to be covered in a suit. So, John David Washington. Sorry, guys, he's booked as Black Panther. Yaha Abdul Mateen. Now again, this is a perfect Calvin Ellis. You look at him, but he was already Dr. Manhattan.
Yeah, and again, none of these, not one guy on this. These are some fine actors, and not one of them could I see as Clark Kent.
No, and here's the thing though, is like Calvin Ellis, Val Zod. You've got, of the 11 actors, you take out Michael B. Jordan, you take out Chidi from The Good Place, and you take out John David Washington because he's going to be doing Black Panther at some point. Like, you've got 8 actors who could play either of those characters amazingly. And you know what? Yeah. All audiences will rally behind that to go see that movie.
Yeah.
All audiences. Because it's a new character that they don't know.
Yeah, but I'm telling and right now, if they go that Clark Kent route, this movie will bomb.
Yep.
And again, even if they don't go that route, I still think the movie's going to have issues because it has a guy who should not be writing movies or comic books.
Yeah.
Penning the script.
Or short stories on a napkin. But here's the thing though, is like the Screen Rant article, like the picture is Calvin Ellis. You scroll down, you get a picture of Val Zod. They like, it seems like they get, like, Screen Rant gets why this is a thing, but like, it's like how the Superman reboot can avoid DCU's Man of Steel mistakes. They have a whole article talking about like this on the horizon, and why a Superman reboot is better than the Man of Steel 2. They talk about Henry Cavill has a robust fan base. But his version of Clark Kent simply never became the sort of universally beloved hero that Warner Brothers was counting on. I disagree, man. Like, if he wasn't universally loved, the fact that they introduced this or they released this information on his birthday, on Henry Cavill's birthday,
and
people
way to go, WB.
People were
way
pissed about that. Like, this is like WWE delivering CM Punk's firing papers to him at his wedding.
Yeah. Well, yeah, it's like Gina Carano finding out about her firing online.
Yeah. So
it's like even if I didn't, and again, I love Cavill as an actor and I love him as Superman. Even if I didn't like him as an actor or as a character, I would say, dude, that's messed up that you would do that on his birthday like that.
So here's the thing about this when they're talking about Cavill. So it says here, and you're gonna love this because this is the exact opposite of how I feel. As soon as Henry Cavill's Superman debuted, he was controversial. In 2013's Man of Steel, audiences were introduced to a more somber, less self-assured Superman, a man who was unsure of his place in the world and whether humanity was even worthy of his help. This was a Superman who allowed his father to die, though at his father's explicit request, and snapped General Zod's neck to stop his rampage across Earth. This was a dark, conflicted character, and he immediately rubbed Superman traditionalists the wrong way. All right. This was a Superman who was raised by monsters.
Yes.
Okay. He didn't let his dad die. He spent his entire life with Jonathan and Martha, telling him, no, do not help anyone. We are monsters. You let them die. You let people get hurt. They kept him from the light. And it wasn't until he got the influence of Jor-El that he was able to step into the light and become that aspirational Superman that we all wanted to see. And because he was raised by those monsters, and then because he had the help of Jor-El when dealing with the Kryptonians, like, I get why he snapped Zod's neck. He didn't. Yeah. He was finally at a point where he's like, I am not letting a single other person get hurt from this moment on. Mm-hmm. Snap. And, Superman traditionalists like thought that was bad. Sure. And it is. He's not a character that traditionally kills. But again, Zack Snyder was so clumsy in the execution of the end of that movie that he wrote himself into that corner.
Which, again, I wouldn't say he wrote himself. I get where you're coming from. However, you're also, this is how I look at it. This was Superman's first time fighting anyone.
Yeah.
Let alone fighting someone as powerful as he is. Let alone someone who is a much better fighter than he is. He had very little, and again, yes, obviously it could have been written a little differently, but I actually liked because it showed he knew that he could not stop Zod. Zod had learned to fly. Zod had learned to use, laser vision within, because Zod was, built and bred for this. And was Superman?
Zod was genetically made to protect Krypton and its people. That was his sole purpose for being. Clark was the first Kryptonian in thousands of years who was born naturally with no predetermined destiny. So here's the other thing that bothers me in this article. There's one key criticism of Cavill's Superman is that he seems to view being Superman as being something of a burden rather than a privilege. Superman and Batman are two totally different characters. Batman is a burden to Bruce Wayne. Mm-hmm. But here's the thing. That's not the truth. Bruce Wayne is the burden to Batman.
Yes. Because
Batman is the face, Bruce Wayne is the mask. Superman has always been a burden for Clark in the way that it's the only way he can safely help people and protect the people that he loves. Right. But he has to sacrifice everything around him. Seeing the way that Tyler Hoechlin is handling this on Soups and Lolo right now, the person who wrote this article needs to go watch that, and then they actually need to go back and read some Superman comic books.
Yeah. Which, by the way, I can't 10 days or a little bit less, like 10 or 11 days till
The
it comes
15th.
back.
No, it's the 15th, isn't it? It's next week.
No, 15th is Saturday. It's Tuesday or Monday.
Yeah,
I can't remember.
Anyway, it says here the DC reboot can fit into the multiverse but still stand alone. We don't need a multiverse. We just don't. Like, multiverses are stupid. They suck. DC had a whole crisis event to clean up the multiverse nonsense that they saw themselves in. And then they just, it's just, there's no actors attached nor even a director at this point, but the film can jump ahead of the curve by analyzing what went wrong with the character's recent adventures and attempt to course correct. Superman is more universally likable, into a more universally likable iteration. Superman is likable because Henry Cavill is likable.
Yeah.
Superman is likable because Brandon Routh was likable. Brandon Routh legitimately got robbed because Bryan Singer gave him a movie where Superman did not throw a single punch.
Yeah.
Think about that for a second.
Yeah. And this is where they're conflating a good and well-received movie with likable. Because, again, I will say it again, I love Man of Steel. Man of Steel had issues. Man of Steel was divisive. But there's no one that, well, I won't say there's no one. Very few people that didn't like that movie would say they didn't like Henry Cavill. They might not have liked the direction that Zack Snyder put him on, but Cavill himself, just like Superman, he was that beacon of hope. He was that shining light.
So, yep. No, I agree. I mean, Cavill was the one thing I liked when we first saw it. I've since lightened my stance on Man of Steel on subsequent viewings, and of the DCEU films, it's probably my favorite, followed by Shazam, followed by Aquaman. But yeah, I don't know, D. It's like it's like they don't like money.
They don't.
Like doing Superman well is a license to print money. And, Christopher Reeve was great. Richard Donner introduced a version of Superman that I think is what most people identify as for the character. But, killing the Kents, killing Pa Kent, it doesn't need to happen. Soups and Lolo made this mistake. But again, that's because Greg Berlanti is doing far too many things at once. And, DC was on this weird mandate where they were like, all parents have to die. All heroes have to be orphans.
I mean, just think of Smallville and how great it was for Clark to have Jonathan Kent by his side, helping him along the struggles he had of being a teenager or being a young adult and having these powers.
And it's sad that John Shire left the show and they killed him off. But, it was... John Shire wasn't going to do 10 seasons of Smallville. Who are we kidding, right?
Yeah. Right.
And there shouldn't. As much as I love Smallville, there probably shouldn't have been 10 seasons. But
no,
you notice I haven't talked about Tom Welling as Superman because he was never Superman.
No, he wasn't.
He was Clark Kent. He was Clark Kent. He was a red blue blur. He was the blur.
Yeah.
We get a scene of him wearing Brandon's Superman shirt. At the end, in the closing moments of the series, but
that's it. Yeah,
here's the thing: DC has such a rich tapestry of characters, and they have such a rich tapestry of diverse characters. If you really want to make an aspirational hero of a movie, Dwayne McDuffie's Milestone, DC owns all of that. They have all the rights to that. Do it. Make an icon movie. You know why they're not going to make an icon movie?
Because nobody knows her.
Him.
Him. Yeah.
Icon was.
I was thinking of Vixen. I had Vixen on my mind.
Icon was a conservative. Icon's sidekick, Rocket. Black girl. Static, black dude. It's Hardware, black guy. Milestone did it right. Milestone put character above all else. It just happened to be that they were black. They talk about the Blue Beetle movie. Jaime Reyes is a great character. I love Jaime Reyes. Ted Kord, he was a great Blue Beetle. He was the Blue Beetle of my youth. I never bought Blue Beetle comics. I bought Jaime Reyes comics every time there's been a run because he's a cool ass character. It doesn't matter that he's Latino. He's cool as shit. And he's one of these characters who struggles with being a hero, which, you know, makes the fact that he's super heroic all the more interesting. And if you want a really good interpretation of Jaime Reyes, go watch Young Justice, especially season 2.
I'll have to check that out.
Because he's a major focal point. You know, the Reach, which is where the Scarab came from, is a great villain, like villainous group, planet, people. You know, there's Black Beetle, who is voiced by Kevin Grievous, who is the guy who wrote Underworld and is the big giant werewolf who has the amazing voice, and he goes around and calls everybody meat. Stupid meat. But yeah, DC has a ton of this that they can go from. Taking their cornerstone character and messing with it like this is just they should have the IP taken away from them for abuse.
Yeah. Yeah, it's like the meme I sent you where they show, you know, Ezra Miller and Grant Gustin on the set.
That's funny.
Of The Flash, where they're like buddy, and it's like Marvel, DC, and then or Marvel and Disney,
yeah.
And then WB is like the cat choking out the other cat.
Yep.
That's DC. It just boggles my mind how how all of these characters, this bevy of characters, and all they can think about is gender swapping, race swapping, because they just lack creativity. And
I have to imagine AT&T's looking at all of this and saying, you know, this isn't worth the hassle.
Yeah. It's
and let's be honest, Jar Jar has ruined 2 franchises with Star Trek and Star Wars. 2 legacy IPs are left in shambles after he touched them. I mean, am I wrong?
No. I mean, and both properties had for me, great starts.
Mm-hmm.
Like Force Awakens, as you know, people can call it derivative. I really enjoyed that. I love the first Star Trek movie.
Yeah, actually, I like Star Trek Beyond the best out of all 3 of them, and it's the one JJ.
I like Beyond. I like Beyond better after I saw it a second time. Yeah. But again, good starts, and then it's just I don't know what to say.
If he wants to be the producer on these things and because he wants it under his Bad Robot banner, fine. But like keep him away from the story. Keep Kurtzman and the other dude away from any of it. I mean, they've just decimated Star Trek in the years that have followed. Yes. You know, looking what he did, what he and Kathleen Kennedy did to Star Wars from a movie perspective is just heartbreaking. You know, letting Ruin Johnson get involved with all of that. But DC has a chance here to say, hey, you know what? We're not gonna bow to the Twitter mob and do this because, you know, a couple of crybabies with blue butterflies in their profile name think that we should, because, you know, the more I think about it, and the further I get away from being on Twitter, the more I think Twitter is just a mental illness.
Mm-hmm.
And this is the type of thing that perpetuates those people to keep them mentally ill.
Yeah, if you want to make when you have characters like this, focus on the character, focus on the story. Don't focus on the race. Don't focus on the sex. Focus on the character.
Right.
Focus on the story. It's very simple. It's honestly extremely simple.
Yeah.
Extremely simple.
But
that's all you need to do.
Yep.
That's all you need to do.
I couldn't say it better. So, I mean, we did an episode forever ago, like called "Just Stick to the Canon." We did a "Don't Tug on Superman's Cape" episode, like in the first 6 months of this, because you know when you play stupid games with Superman, you win stupid prizes. Steel. Like Steel's a character that they could do much better than having Shaq play.
Yeah.
Which was a huge disrespect to that character. Having Shaquille O'Neal play John Henry Irons.
Yeah. One of the YouTubers I follow, Tyrone Magnus, he does a lot of different reactions and stuff.
Oh,
and
he
had
could be a great Steel. Because he's got those big old arms.
Yeah. Well, he even said that, like, in his video today, he was like, he mentioned Valzad, he mentioned Calvin Ellis, and then he brought up, I didn't even think about doing Steel. It's like, you know what? He's right.
So.
Anyway, man.
All right.
Yeah, it's enough of the rants. But yeah, just that's all. I'll just end it with that. Just focus on story.
Mm-hmm.
Focus on character. Those are just
the contents of the character are what's important, and that should go for everything, not just superhero movies.
100%.
Anyway, all right. Yeah, back us on Patreon if you liked any of this. Like, so we can do more of this. But yeah, anyway, like and subscribe, all of that fun stuff. We'll be back a whole bunch next week with a bunch of different things. I'm excited to go watch Jupiter's Legacy. I've been excited to watch Warrior. And yeah, so cool. Any last words?
Story matters. Character matters.
All right.
That's it.
Yeah. Sweet. Peace out. Talk to you guys later.
See ya.
The Infamous Podcast is recorded in Kings Mills, Ohio, just north of Cincinnati. You can find new episodes every Sunday on Apple Podcast, YouTube, Spotify, Google Podcast, our website, or anywhere podcasts are downloaded. This show is hosted by Darryl Jasper and me, Brian Tudor. To find more information about the show, visit us at infamouspodcast.com and follow us on Facebook and Instagram at Infamous Podcast to keep up with the show. We also have a Patreon page, patreon.com/infamouspodcast. We have some great rewards for our patrons and are looking for help to grow the show to bring you more of the content you want to hear. Music for this podcast is provided by Michael Henry from meetmichaelhenry.com. So, whenever you're listening to us, have a great day, night, evening, weekend, whenever it is, and we'll see you next time. Thanks for listening.